Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video we're going to talk about some carry cases for my firearms from the company JT Scope. Now JT Scope, very new to the market, a brand new company who's kind of trying to get their way into the market. They pretty much, I would say for the most part, specialize in optics. Sort of like night vision, monoculars, binoculars. They have some like heat vision, which is pretty cool. So some higher end things, but at the same time, they've kind of also tried to get some basic necessities into their lineup. So things like, for example, this rifle case. Small pistol cases, accessory pouches, things like that to help you with your sort of weapon system management. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take a look at these in a little bit of detail. I'm going to sort of show you my thoughts and where I think these are going to work out for me. And I'm not really so much going to get into the field use, but you will probably see these from time to time showing up in sort of cameo appearances. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at JT Scope who did provide these for review. Now if you've been watching my channel, you've been watching me go through a progression. I'm fairly new to firearms at this point. It's only been a short number of months, all things considered, so I'm still learning what works for me and how to kind of navigate my way through firearms. That definitely includes storage, and that includes my ability to actually carry what I need to the range when I go. So today, this is definitely going to be a step in that direction. So with this rifle case, it's going to help me out. I should definitely be able to fit a whole bunch of stuff in here that I'm going to need out in the range. And I can tell you, I have struggled with that just a bit, and here's why. If you look back at one of my prior videos, I have this Apache case, which I outfitted with pretty much everything I needed to go to the range with my rifle and shotgun. But this case is very heavy. I mean, it's just bulky. It doesn't have a strap. It only has a handle. It's good and durable, but it's just heavy. So this at this point has been better for, call it, under my bed in case I need a self-defense weapon, and keeping everything locked up at my ready. So this to me has been a little bit more of sort of the like home situation. I could use it to travel if I was using this to go someplace where I wanted the durability of the hard plastic, but it's just cumbersome. And I think this is going to be a light and refreshing option for me. And so as we get into this here, I'm going to kind of step my way through this. I am literally learning about this during this review, but at the same time, I mean, I have some general ideas about what my goals and objectives are. And the first thing is just an easier way to carry my firearms. Now, I definitely need to take a quick step back and think about my laws and restrictions and what I need to do in terms of travel with my firearms. That's the first thing. So I don't really talk about where I live, but I think you can put some pieces together fairly quickly if you really tried. I am in a state that is, I would say, not quite so forgiving. So with my firearms, if I have a large capacity firearm, I am required to lock my firearms in the case during travel. Now, my particular firearms here today are not large capacity, but I bring that up being I want systems that are flexible and versatile, and they work for whatever my needs are. Unfortunately, the first thing that catches my attention with this, well, it does not have the ability to lock it up. There is no like locks on the zipper tracks, and as I work these around to the top, you can see here, just no ability to lock this together. So when I'm talking about this, this is only going to be an option for me for non-large capacity firearms while I am like in travel. So other than that, I would literally have to bring my other case, lock them and transport them, and then like change them out into this, which literally completely defeats the purpose. So this is only going to be a viable option for me really for travel with non-large capacity rifles or shotguns. But as we get into it here, the next thing you'll see, and I had maybe a little bit of an oopsie. I had a little bit of an issue while I was getting this out of the package, and unfortunately at this point there's just a little bit of a stain on the front of this, but not a big deal. We're going to ignore that. So that did not come from the manufacturer this way, or the, I should say, retailer. That is my fault. But as we look across the front of this, 3 large pockets, which is going to be nice for general accessories, maybe some gloves. You know, maybe I could actually slide some smaller magazines or something like that on the inside here. But as we go through this, as you can see, just this nice flap in the front and a nice large pouch. Now inside here, pretty much a large dump capable of putting whatever you need. Not a, you know, overly complicated thing, but definitely nice. Good quality Velcro on the front, and then some shock cord to keep everything at bay. You end up with these clips, which are reasonable. They're not like branded Duraflex or anything like that. I mean, none of these materials are, I would say, premium. This is sort of a little more towards a budget style product to get you started. So if you're new to firearms or you're just looking for something simple, I think this would be good for you. So it's definitely not going to be your premium option, but nice nonetheless. On this side, you'll see again another same sort of style pocket. It is a little bit gusseted, so it sort of expands as you open this up. And on the inside here, you do end up with a little bit of a divider, so this breaks it into sort of 2 sections. Again, you end up with that shock cord keeper in the front where you can cinch everything down, Velcro enclosure, and then the buckle as well to keep everything nice and tidy. On each side, you'll see a zippered compartment. These are just a little bit tight, but definitely useful, and they don't go full depth. My hand kind of bottoms out right about here, and as you look at this, it does have MOLLE webbing across the front, so you can attach an additional pouch or pocket to this. I think that's going to be key for me, where I may try to set up myself a dedicated ammo pouch that could actually literally just strap onto the front of this, and then if I wanted to, I could remove it when I get to the range or whatever I'm trying to do. But if you look on both sides, the same exact situation. So on this side as well, same pocket as I stick my hand in. Again, you'll see bottoms out pretty much 2/3 of the way down the row. So nice little organization there, and pretty functional on the front of this bag. As we rotate along the bottom here, you'll see this has some straps. So if you had things like and I would say maybe like a mat or a roll, something that you're going to utilize while you're at the range, maybe to lay on or something like that, you could put that in there. Now there's not a lot of extra strap, so it does get just a little bit tight as we work on this. You'll see once that's sort of flattened out, there is not a lot of extra strap, so it's going to be a little bit limited as to what you can put in here without it bulging into the case itself. So I would like to see maybe a little extra strap on this with maybe a Velcro keeper to keep everything tidy. But we'll see how this comes into play in the future when I really get this out into the field. Swinging this around to the back side, this is what makes this sort of the most exciting for me. Shoulder straps. This is awesome. The ability literally to carry this on my back. Again, one of the things I was saying is I tend to have a lot of stuff with me when I go to the range. Keep in mind, I mean, on top of everything else, I do a lot of filming, so I have all my camera gear and tripods and stupid stuff. So my hands are always full. The ability just to get this on my back, that is refreshing. So not only can I ditch that big heavy case, but now I don't even have to carry this in my hands. I can put this on my back. Nice padded shoulder straps. These are more than ample. I mean, plenty of padding here. And then you get a little bit of a chest strap. So sometimes, and actually where I'm getting involved right now at the range, I actually have to walk in a decent distance to some of the different ranges. Like, for example, the rifle and pistol range is a decent little hike for me. So getting this on my back, that's going to be key. Now, one thing that I did want to consider is it looks like if you wanted to ditch these straps, The lower straps you should be able to do, just unthread it from the buckle. You're gonna have no problem. These upper straps, I'm kind of surprised. This seems to be all sewn together. So even though it goes through a D-ring, and you would potentially have the ability to ditch this strap altogether, you can't do that. I think that's a little bit of a letdown. I would like to see this maybe a little more adjustable, and then the ability to actually remove this if you wanted to. It just leaves flexibility and versatility. And on top of that, why not just do this exact same buckle design? So there may be a reason for it. Maybe it's a comfort thing. Maybe it's just the geometry and how everything laid out. But at an initial glimpse, I don't necessarily see what that would be, and I think having the ability to remove this would have been a benefit. But again, that's just my opinion, and you'll always hear me sort of weighing in on flexibility and versatility of equipment and systems for multiple users and what their needs might be. Now back to the front here, you'll see as we open this up and flap this open, a nice sized pouch in the front. So this, again, just a good overall size. On this side of the flap here, you end up with this zippered compartment, so opening that up. Now this side here, you'll see it is open this direction, a nice size pocket, and then on the rest of the flap here, a zipper across the top. So what could you put in here? Personally, for me, I would probably put something very flat, like smaller targets, something like that. So small little targets might go in here, which I think would work out a little bit better than something that's bulky and tends to bulge. Same thing here. So you end up with these Velcro pockets here. Fairly nice size overall, and at the same time, just needs to be, I would say, mindful of how bulky and sort of protruding the items are that you would put in here, because you will run into competition of space with some of the other areas inside this case. As I open up the main compartment here, again, you can see this does have a couple of compartments. So you end up with this side here, and then flapping this padding. So this is all sort of padding. Flipping this over, you do have the ability to put a couple of different items in here, whether it's 2 rifles. In my case, I'm going to try to put my rifle and a shotgun. You end up with padding on the side here, which is awesome, so it kind of protects it from anything that you may bang up against, and it feels reasonably padded on the bottom as well. So definitely has these little corner pockets to help kind of keep the butt end sort of in place. So at this point, let's see what it's like to try to get one of my firearms in here. I'm going to start here with my shotgun, which this is my Mossberg 590 Thunder Ranch Edition. The barrel is slightly shorter than maybe other models, so just keep that into consideration. Now I am going to tuck this underneath these sort of corner pockets here. You'll notice that, here I do have, that muzzle brake there, so I don't want that to necessarily damage the fabric. So that's going to be a little bit tougher there with that ballistic nylon, and then strapping this into place. Flipping this over here, that's going to bulge up just a little bit, but let's see if this will work. Here I have my Ruger 10/22. Gonna do the same thing. I think if I go a little yin and yang to this, it may work out a little bit better. So just trying to see where everything's sort of bulging out and how this is gonna work. I'm thinking this should be fine with the scope on here, and then I also have this bipod. So it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how this goes once I seal this up, but getting everything tucked inside here, no problem. Hoping this doesn't rub or bang too much, but that seems like it's going to be just fine there. Zipping up with ease, these buckles for a little bit of security. And actually the buckles on the bottom here, regardless, that's just going to add some safety and rigidity to the bottom of the case and kind of allow me to cinch this up and keep everything nice and tidy. So if I don't want anything sort of flapping around while I'm carrying this, which seems to be the intent of all of these straps, I can definitely tighten this up. So I think that's going to work for the better. And so now, at this point, I mean, this seems like it's going to work out fairly well overall. I will have to maybe adjust all my straps and get them sort of fitted out a little bit, but it actually feels really good. So, nice quality padding. This is going to just bind a little bit on my back just because of the angles of everything, but at the same time, it's not really intended for hiking super far distances, I would say. But generally speaking, this feels really nice. I mean, secure on my back. Do I need a waist strap? Not really. I mean, that's going to be just about perfect. This is definitely going to work as I try to get everything I need into my range situation. And it's much better than holding on to things. And especially if it's cold and I want my gloves and I just, I need to get to my destination. I think this is going to work just fine. Now, I do want to keep an eye on things, make sure nothing's rubbing inside. I'm not afraid of wear. I just don't want unnecessary wear. So to me, just paying attention to the inside, making sure the padding's doing what it needs to do, making sure my firearms aren't rubbing. It's going to take me a little bit to sort of figure that out, but I think the padding seems ample, good and comfortable, feels good on my back. No problem at all. So this Firearms backpack case, I do have to say, it's pretty sweet. And of course, this isn't going to be the highest quality version. I mean, there's going to be nicer ones out there. But if you're somebody looking to get started, I definitely think this is a reasonable option. I know for me personally, as I'm trying to grow and learn what works for me, I don't want to spend a huge amount of money on things that I don't know whether or not it's going to work. So for reasonable price and the ability to get a couple of, long guns or, shotgun or different rifles, this is pretty sweet. So I do have to say, so far, I'm encouraged and I can't wait to get this out to the range. And next we're going to look at this little pistol case. Very simple. This came in this black multicam. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this does not appear to be truly licensed black multicam, but of course it is trying to pull that off. That bugs me a little bit. I don't like seeing things that get ripped off. In fact, here's my hat in actual licensed black multicam, which, there's no denying that that's exactly what this is going for. So that kind of does bother me a little bit just from a moral and ethical perspective. However, we will proceed with the actual case itself. So across the front here, a very simple little pocket. You could keep things like, keys or IDs or a little bit of cash, something very simple, but also thin and small. Opening this up to the inside, now you do end up with a couple of padded areas. So here you'll see this padded area, which is a larger pocket. Then over here, you do have the ability to put some magazines. Now, I have an initial impression right away, which is I kind of wish the inside of this was Velcro lined, because if it was, you'd have the ability to put a Velcro holster in there, and I just don't quite understand why you would have your firearm just kind of like loose inside here. I want more retention than that. I could put it in my holster, sure, but then again, at the same time, I mean, what is the intent of this? Are you supposed to like slip this in place? Now, the other thing is, this is definitely large enough to potentially put two firearms, which for me, with slightly smaller handguns being a micro compact and then a compact, like these would probably both fit in there just fine, but I really just don't want them banging together. So that sort of limits this to a single firearm for me. But at the same time, it's kind of nice where you do end up with plenty of magazine storage. So as I just slide a couple mags in here, this should work just fine. No problem. Literally the perfect size. And if I try to put these side by side, that's going to work out just fine. So no problem there. I'm actually going to remove one of these handguns for now. So I do have one in here. And as I go to close this up, that will work out pretty good. Now, just another couple of matters of practice and practical experience. Again, going back to firearms laws and trying to obey them to the best of my ability, if this is in my direct possession, I do not need it locked. However, if it is not in my direct possession, I need a way to lock this. So, in my opinion, making cases for firearms and related to travel that don't have the ability to lock them is kind of a pretty big oversight, in my opinion. I think everything to do with a firearm that requires transport absolutely has to have the ability to lock it. So even though this is, it's nice enough, the material seems nice, the construction is fine, the inside I think could use a little bit of a slightly different design in my opinion, but again, I'm gonna say I'm a novice at best. I really don't know what general practice is in development of these types of products. All I know is what I think would work better for me. So I'd rather have, a Velcro interior, or at least a couple of like elastic slots where you could get your firearm inside, so that I could actually fit two of them. And if it was like that, and I had the ability to kind of put these in here like that, I mean, that would just be fantastic. Lay out all my mags, close this thing up, lock it, go to the range, take this out, again, open it and display it out on the bench. This should be able to literally fillet open completely, so like a clamshell opening, and now I have everything I need while I'm at the pistol range. So generally speaking, I mean, fairly nice, but in other ways, personally, for me, I just think it could use a little bit of a redesign. And now, last but not least, here you can see, this is a kind of an interesting little pouch. Has this piece on the inside, so pretty straightforward, almost like a canteen style pouch. Maybe you'd call it a dump pouch. Actually has a little sort of slip pocket inside, so you could put a little pad of paper, or you could actually collect your shells. So it's almost like a dump pouch, where if you had ammunition or spent shells, you could collect them up in this. Clip in the front, very straightforward. On the back side here, typical sort of MOLLE webbing, very simple but effective. Little Velcro patch across the front, and then the inside here, what exactly is this? Oh, okay, so this opens up here. Now, I'm sure this could be used for small range tools. So, little tools to work on your equipment, maybe some lubricant, small little parts kit, which is kind of neat. And I like this design where this folds in on itself, closes up, and then the entire thing slides right in here. So this, to me, actually, in retrospect, I would probably use for a small sort of firearms cleaning kit, which I think would be cool. It should be able to fit in here no problem. Being the ballistic nylon, it's going to be durable, and it's going to be, I'm not going to say by any means stain resistant, but just something you can work with. It's not going to be subject to damage from chemicals or solvents or anything like that. So definitely a cool little pouch, and I like it. And so again, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at JT Scope for providing these products for review. All in all, pretty cool. I mean, I definitely need to use these to gain a better impression of how they would be in true practical application. If you are somebody who has good experience with these types of gear, do me a favor, leave some comments below. Just let me know what you think. Should these be, slightly redesigned? Are there some things to consider? Another thing that I thought about this rifle case, which would be awesome, again, having Velcro interior lining so that you could add more sort of padding and little, the bumps. So in some cases, you end up with some nice sort of foam, bumps and things that you can put in to hold everything nice and firm and secure. It's just a little bit floppy on this. Things just shift around a little bit too much for my liking. I'd like a little more security and a little more sort of firm grip on things while they're inside the case. However, generally speaking, I do think this is going to come into play for me. I'm very excited to get this out to the range. I love the fact that this has the shoulder straps. That's going to be awesome. It's definitely going to help me out. So this is adding a nice piece of kit to my firearms management, storage, and transportation system. All of that stuff comes into play. It's not just about the firearms itself, but it's how you manage them. It's how you're appropriately handling them, storing them, transporting them, and quite frankly, following the law. So at the end of the day, I am greatly excited to get this out into the field, but you're just going to have to wait and see. And if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is my primary channel. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So, sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you liked what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.